Today in lesson 2.2, we are going to talk about ordering rational and irrational numbers. So the easiest way to order and compare rational and irrational numbers, as we talked about in lesson 2.1, is to turn them into a decimal. So today we're going to talk about how we can turn a fraction into a decimal to make it easier to compare. So when you're turning a fraction into a decimal, we keep our whole number, and then all we have to do is divide the numerator divided by the denominator. So in our calculator, so we will be using calculators, 1/4, we will do 1 divided by 4, and we will see that it is 0.25. That 0 is where our whole number goes, and then 0.25 goes after it. So negative 2 1/4 as a decimal is negative 2.25. And then 5/11ths as a decimal, same thing. We don't have a whole number this time. So I can just do my numerator divided by my denominator. So I can just do 5 divided by 11. And notice I get 0.45454545. We don't want to have to write all that out. So look at the pattern. See how 45 continues to repeat? So we can write that as 0.45, and then we can put a line over it to show the repeating pattern. Now I'd like you to practice. Use your calculator. You can either go to Schoology and use the Desmos calculator link there. So this is the online Desmos calculator. Or you can use one of our calculators in class. So try 1, 2, 3, and 4 and check it with your Edpuzzle video. Next, we're going to talk about how to order rational numbers. When they are fractions, it's a little bit hard to compare them, like we said earlier. And the easiest way to order numbers is to put them on a number line. So for this question, we are going to turn everything into a decimal. So our question says, the table shows the elevations of 4 sea creatures relative to sea level. Which of the sea creatures are deeper than the whale? Explain. So we need to first write each rational number as a decimal and then graph it on the number line to help us. So just like we did on questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, you need to turn these 4 numbers into decimals. So go ahead and use your calculator and do that now. Now that we have turned our numbers into decimals to make them a little bit easier to compare, we're ready to plot them on the number line. So these are sea creatures, so they're underwater. That's why we have a vertical number line instead of a horizontal. Remember that 0 is going to be the water level. And notice these do not go up by 1, they go up by 1/2 because we have a lot of smaller decimals. All of our numbers are between 0 and -3 because -3 is on the other side of -2.2. So we will plot -1.3. So I look at where -1 is, and -1.3 is about halfway between -1 and -1.5. So -1.3 is approximately there, and that would be the anglerfish. And I should have done that in blue, but that's all right. So now we're going to look at the squid. The squid is at -2.2, so I take and I look at -2 and -2.5. So -2.2 is in between those, and that will be my squid. Now the shark is at -0.18. So -0.18, that's going to be in between 0 and -1.5. And I'm looking at these, and this is close to 0.2, -0.2, and this one's closer to -0.1. So I know the shark would be approximately there. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my pen here, that it's kind of being weird. So the shark is right there. And then the whale is the last one. I'm going to label it on the other side. So at -0.8, that's going to be our whale. So now we need to answer the question, which of the sea creatures are deeper than the whale? On your Edpuzzle video, choose. You are going to be choosing more than one option. So choose all the options of animals that are deeper than the whale. Now we have an extension. It says, what if the elevation of the dolphin, so we're adding another animal, the dolphin is -1/10 of a kilometer. Now we want to know which sea creatures in example 4 are deeper than the dolphin. So if the dolphin is -1/10, we need to divide it, 1 divided by 10, and we will get -0.1. So if I look back here, it's getting kind of close, but I can see that -0.1, that will be in between the shark and the whale, because it is going to be, actually, no, I'm sorry, it's not in between the shark and the whale, because 0.1 is going to be closer to 0 than 0.8 and closer to 0 than 0.18. So the dolphin will be almost right at 0. The dolphin will be right about there. So now on your Edpuzzle video, choose all of the creatures that are deeper than the dolphin. Now we're ready to practice ordering rational numbers. Our first step is always to try to convert it into a decimal. That makes it easier. So the original number is 9/5. To turn it into a decimal, I'll do 9 divided by 5, which you would be able to use your calculator for, and I will get 1.8. So when I'm plotting that on the number line, I know that 1.8 is in between 1 and 2. And it's closer to 2 because 0.8 is almost going to make it go up to 2. So it's approximately right there. And then you want to label it with your original number, not with the decimal form. Label it with your original number. So 9/5 will be right here. And we already talked about our 1.1 notes, that pi, that symbol, we use 3.14 for. So 3.14 is a little bit past 3. So it's approximately right there, and you're going to want to label that with its original, not the decimal form. So label that with the pi symbol. You can just draw 2 lines and a little squiggly over it. The next one is already a decimal. So -2.5, it's already in decimal form. I know it's negative, so this time I have to go to the left. And 2.5 is in between -2 and -3. So it'll be right halfway in between. And label it with our original number, which was -2.5. Then I have -4/3. Still first step, turn it into a decimal. So I do 4 divided by 3, and I will get 1.3 repeating. So I put the line over that. So -1.3 repeating will be 1, and it'll be, I'm sorry, negative. -1.3 is about 1 1/3, so it's right there. And make sure you label it with your original number, -4/3. Now, the negative square root of 27. 27 is not a perfect square, so we would need to use our calculator. So if I go back to the Desmos calculator, I see the square root is right there. So I can do negative square root of 27. And I can see it is not a pretty number. So I know this one is this one rational or irrational? So it is irrational because it does not have a pattern. So we're just going to round that to 5.196 because the 1 makes the 6 stay the same. So that one is -5.196. And you can put dots to show it continues. Once again, I'm so sorry. I don't know why my pen is doing that. And so -5.196 is a little bit past -5. So I go to -5, it's a little bit past it, and I label it with its original, negative square root of 27. And the last one, 5 is my whole number. I do 2 divided by 5 to get 5.4, and that one is positive, so I'm on the positive sign. 5.4 is a little bit less than halfway, so 5 2/5 will be right there. Now you're going to practice that on your own. So on the rest of your notes, you're going to put in the decimal equivalents, and then you're going to plot them on the number line. One thing that I did forget to say is if you don't have room on the top to write your label for the point, you can also write it at the bottom. So you could write it above or under the number line. It does not matter. And I noticed I made a mistake here. Right here where I labeled 4.5. Remember, we're supposed to label the original number. So the original number was 9/2. So instead of 4.5, I should have put 9/2. And now you're ready to practice.